you have fallen down the Ballerina farm rabbit hole like myself, you're probably wondering many things. I know guys, money isn't everything, who would have thunk? Tradwife TikToks aren't all as they seem, wrangling up the kids for a beautiful meal you've spent 12 hours preparing just to receive a egg apron for your birthday, even after you have made it pretty clear that you want to go to Greece, Mr. Heir to JetBlue, that's worth, as of July 26, 2024, over $2 billion.
Okay, that's my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping their tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets?
It's not.
Oh, my egg apron!
Eggs in it.
Great, they didn't gather eggs.
So
Yeah,
cute. It's really cute.
Have you got your ears open, mate, or are you just trying to buy what you want her to like? Yippee! After all of my domestic labor, I get a egg apron. A damning article has come out over the past couple of days written by Megan Agnew for the Sunday Times. Paints a rather uncomfortable picture of what leading the tradwife lifestyle succumbs toward. So I paid to see the deets throughout this article because it's becoming more apparent than ever before that these TikTok influencers who lead that tradwife life is not something to idolize and nothing really to fawn over. Hannah and Daniel Neelman live on a farm with their 8 children. Ballerina Farm, a TikTok account that is on the precipice of 9 million followers, with many people absolutely fawning over the idea of living such a beautiful, comfortable, easy life off of the grid, which is honestly quite ironic given the fact that this is all being posted on such a untraditional form of media, but it sells this idea of being completely self-reliant, not relying on the average American lifestyle. Hannah makes all of the family meals from scratch, even whilst heavily pregnant. And it has me thinking, you know, if I am already frustrated by the time it hits 6 o'clock and I'm like, what are we having for dinner? I couldn't even imagine what Hannah's meal planning looks like. No shot. Hannah was lifting weights, making full meals, bread, making sure all of her kids are taken care of, all while, mind you, being heavily pregnant. And I'm kind of sat here wondering, where the does she get all of this energy to do all of this? Oh, well, drama queen, she doesn't eat or live the average American diet. Or this is what is expected of her. Spill the secret on how you get the energy to do what you do every day. I have one and I'm exhausted. Could there be something that we're possibly not aware of that on the surface to us through TikTok, it looks like Hannah has all of the energy in the world just ready to grab life by its balls every single morning. True grinder girl boss. On the 2nd of January this year, Hannah gave birth to a beautiful baby Flora. Much like some of the other kids, Flora was born in a bedroom upstairs at the Ballerina farm. And according to the Sunday Times, Hannah didn't have any pain relief whilst pushing out a whole human out the badussy. Hannah said that she quote unquote laid low for a couple of days, not leaving the house. And now it's 5 days after giving birth to Flora, and Hannah looks at Daniel and says that she is unsure on whether she can still participate in her pageant. Because in case you are unaware, Hannah participates in a lot of beauty pageants. This one she was invited to, Mrs. World. This is a lot. I was bleeding and swollen and milk was coming in. Hannah is a former ballerina before she met Daniel, so 7 days after giving birth in her own home without pain relief, she's up in her bathroom doing bar exercises. And a few days later, lands in Las Vegas with her entire family, mind you, her husband and her 8 children, including the newborn baby, ready to go on stage and compete in Mrs. World. Spray tanned, glam to the Greek gods, strutting in her 5-inch heels. All while whilst being 12 days postpartum. Many women could only dream of being able to do that, to get right back into things after giving birth again to a whole baby. And Hannah didn't even go to a hospital. She did that all by herself at her house. Like, if I was in her shoes at that point in time, I would be using every excuse under the sun to not leave bed with newborn bubs. But again, I wouldn't know what that's like because I am 22 and childless. Yeah, I know. They hate people like us. However, this is quite admirable of Hannah to carry out her life as usual after all things considered. True girl bossery in all its glory. Or is it? Megan, the journalist from the Sunday Times, travels to the Ballerina farm, mentions quite early into the piece that Hannah held Flora the entirety of the 4 hours during the interview. All whilst, mind you, Daniel is right there. He could help if he so wishes to. The Neelmans are a devout Mormon family, which explains a lot of the tradwife lifestyle that is depicted on the least traditional form of social media. Throughout the article, Daniel seemingly is talking over Hannah, trying to give answers to the questions that were asked to Hannah. Like, I've heard of this before, and honestly, it never ends up good. But then Megan gets to the tradwife label and kind of just asks the question towards Hannah and Daniel, like, how do you feel about that label being attached to your guys' names? Hannah giving a short and sweet response to that, saying, we were already together doing what we were doing. Okay. Daniel then butts in and says, and then tradwife came along. We can't help it. This is what we are. If we're trad dad, trad wife, so be it. Hannah then goes on to explain that she doesn't even identify with the tradwife label that is being put onto her by many people over on TikTok, including myself right here. She says that she's only really traditional in the sense of being married to a man, Daniel, and having children. Okay. Here is where I'm starting to have an issue though. You guys are selling this traditional lifestyle but aren't being honest about it, because we're always seeing Hannah slaving away at the kitchen stove, milking the cows, wrangling up the children, doing literally everything. And just a warning, the later we go into this article, the more it seems apparent that yeah, this is purely just expected of Hannah. The reason that the Ballerina farm account is able to live quite the easy breezy comfort off the grid sort of lifestyle that they're depicting to everybody is because Daniel is the heir to JetBlue. So they have the means to back up and support that kind of lifestyle, because in today's current society, in today's economy, there is no way that that's feasible. You can't really have a stay-at-home parent. Like, there needs to be multiple incomes coming into the household. So the average person who's consuming Ballerina farm content and are idolizing it and just wishing they had that kind of lifestyle, they do have the means to support the inconveniences. Unfortunately, we don't. Daniel also goes on to say that he expected Hannah to be more at home with the kids. He also mentioned that when he first started dating Hannah, Hannah suggested that they should date for a year before marriage so that Hannah could finish the rest of her school. But Daniel declines this and says that it's not gonna work that way. And that they have to get married right away. Why do you have to get married so quick, my guy? Like, there is no way that you needed to get married literally a month after dating each other. But that's here nor there for this moment. After a month of dating, they got engaged. Then another month goes by and boom, they're married. Then another month goes by and then they have a baby. I don't know about you, and considering that yes, everybody's journey in life looks a lot different from yours and myself, this is all suspiciously a little too fast. Why did you have to only date for 1 month? Why did you get married the month after? Why did you have a baby the month after? All of that in a span of 3 months? Like, okay, this may be a little bit controversial, but that is too fast, okay? That is too quick. During this time, Hannah was dancing professionally as a ballerina. She eventually had to give up dance because they have this vision and dreams, with of course Daniel interrupting, saying that they still do, but it's like, okay, Daniel in this article, like, it goes a little bit into their personal lives and backgrounds before they met each other. And it's like, Daniel's always wanted to live on a farm. Daniel's always wanted to live in the western wilds. He got to have those things. Meanwhile, Hannah had to give up literally everything. Very, very interesting to me personally. Anger warning, anger warning, anger warning, frustration warning. This really struck a chord in me. This really grinded my gears. Megan writes, the only space earmarked to be Hannah's own, a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, but ended up being the kids' schoolroom. In my big fat opinion, you do not need to make this many sacrifices for people, whether it be for your husband or for your children. There always should be just that one thing that you have as a form of escapism, because then you just lose your identity as a whole and you only become a wife, you only become a mother. And those two things are absolutely incredible titles. Why am I speaking in WWE terms? I'm sorry, I'll stop. But it's like, really, everything has to be about everybody else except Hannah? I don't know. I'm really not liking this so far. It gets even weirder because towards the end of the article, Daniel actually gets up and leaves the room because he has to take a phone call. Hannah reveals that with one of her children, she got an epidural and, quote, it was an amazing experience, she said. Megan states that Hannah even lowered her voice a little bit more so that Daniel couldn't hear, and confirmed that yes, when Daniel wasn't present, she chose pain relief and that it was kinda great. I mean, again, it is becoming even more clear to me that Daniel has kind of like, from my speculation, from what I have read, and in my own personal opinion, stripped this woman's identity. It seems to me that he makes the decisions for her, because why is she saying that getting an epidural was amazing and she only had that when Daniel wasn't present, when Daniel wasn't with her? But when Daniel is present, it's have our kids upstairs in that bedroom, no pain relief. Now, I'm not painting a picture where it's like Daniel is forcing her to do these things, but it's always that religion aspect, right? Where it's like, okay, these are the beliefs and the systems and the values that I have in place. You got to do the same too. Y'all know that I'm not religious by any means at all. I do respect people of religion because everybody has faith in something, just like I have faith in the universe. You know what I mean? So, but my question is why? Why does Hannah have to have her babies outside of a hospital with modern medicine? Why? Now, if we go a little bit back in the article, Daniel said that he pulled strings at JetBlue to be on the same flight as Hannah. Hannah at the time actually had no idea that Daniel's father owns JetBlue. I remember checking in and them saying, you're 5A and you're 5B, and I just thought, no way, that's crazy. Yeah, it is pretty crazy, isn't it? I mean, I personally would be a little bit freaked out. Like, you're on the same flight as me. I don't know about that. Like, I do believe in coincidences, obviously. Who doesn't? But that just seems a little bit too good to be true. Now, I get it. Daniel is an heir to a mainstream airlines company that's net worth is over $2 billion. That doesn't make Daniel an automatic billionaire, rather an heir, the son to somebody who owns JetBlue. Many pick-me's have been coming forward and putting their little 2 cents in by saying that this must be so black-pilling for men to see that women are so upset that a woman had her dreams crushed and basically like taken away, but that was all in exchange for marrying a billionaire. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but money doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. That's in context to, you know, you marry this billionaire, but you're not happy whatsoever. You're not doing anything that you want to do. And there probably was that little bit of an enticement inside of you that's like, you know, I'm marrying this billionaire. I'm probably going to be expecting billionaire wife things. And that's kind of just like not happening. Money pays the bills. Money puts your kids through school. Money puts food on the table. So of course, money matters a lot, especially at the moment. The rental prices are they're skyrocketing and they don't seem to be going down anytime soon. So let me just reiterate myself. Money is important, but in context, this just doesn't seem that good. Like, you should automatically just become this AI robot all because you married a billionaire. No, that's not how it works. You marry a billionaire, you get billionaire wife things or husband things. I love all the she's slaving away in front of the stove takes so much. Ma'am, that's a $30,000 stove. That $30,000 stove can't cook happiness, you absolute cunt. But like, who even cares if it were a $30 million stove? Especially if you're constantly in shackles and chained to the damn thing. Yes, she should be so thankful she has a $30,000 stove. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry, $30,000 for a stove? There is no way that that is cooking mee goreng better than your regular rental stove. There just isn't. Don't even try and argue me on that. If you think women being upset about the Ballerina farm stuff is horseshit, how about Daniel going on record saying that Hannah sometimes gets so ill from exhaustion that she can't get out of bed for a week? And that doesn't just tell you everything that you need to know, yet only gets a bullshit ass apron for her birthday instead of this man being an heir to JetBlue and booking her a trip to Greece like she's been asking. Oh, but that's so spoiled, drama queen. Like, regular people don't get to go to Greece every single other day. Yes, obviously, but it's obviously a lot different for Hannah because she is married to somebody who could pull strings internally, much like he did when he wanted to be on the exact same flight as her when he wanted to date her. And it's not just about her wanting to go to Greece, but it's the principle. You buy her a domestic labor related item, an egg, apron. I don't care what anyone says, that tells you all you really need to know. Now, people even found old blog posts that Hannah made that raised a few eyebrows over on TikTok. After Miss New York 2011, Daniel was so happy I didn't win. He brought my engagement ring with him and wanted to propose right then and there. That is another story in and of itself, but long story short, I told him to wait until we were alone. Proposing at your soon-to-be wife's loss of a title that is crazy work. That's just like me rocking up to one of my friends' basketball games and chucking a whole party because they lost. Hell yeah, Doug, you lost. I've been waiting on this one. Today was quite the day. Thank goodness it's Friday. It felt like I was in a race against time the entire day and I didn't win. It is 11 p.m. and dinner is finally ready. Too bad Daniel fell asleep 45 minutes ago. That's what I get for being too ambitious and trying to make pot pies for dinner. Crust and everything. Maybe he can have his for breakfast. Obviously, we don't know for certain where Hannah's mind is at this current moment, because a lot of this article was religious beliefs. Here's why you can't do this because of religious beliefs. Daniel talking over Hannah. Hannah saying things when Daniel wasn't in the room. Hannah being very surface level. It's kind of weird. Vapid people are commenting on the fact that Hannah should be happy because she's married to a billionaire. But wait until you guys discover that you cannot buy inner peace, inner happiness, fulfillment in life. Obviously, if I had that kind of money, like $30,000 just to throw onto a stove, I feel like I would be able to attain resources that could kind of get me fixed up here, you know? So obviously, from a surface level perspective, I understand why people are saying that, because money would genuinely fix so many problems in our lives. But it's like, yeah, I would like to have that money to pay for those things. This article, though, is opening the door into a life that many women live, but don't have the means to quote-unquote do it right. Objectively looking at the article in its entirety, we can obviously see that Megan went into this with a level of bias, and I can understand why, just based off of the tradwife genre on TikTok alone and the content that Hannah does as well. Like, it literally looks like she's Superwoman, but she's not really getting anything out of it. She just keeps popping out babies for this dude, and where's her trip to Greece? But what raises flags of all different colors for me was the bit where Daniel wasn't around, but Hannah chose comfort. Hannah only told Megan when Daniel left the room and only got that epidural when he wasn't around. Like, I need answers as to why. Why did she choose that? Was it because she wasn't going to get this whole spiel on how she needs to do it naturally because so many years ago people and our ancestors did it? Like, okay, we have modern medicine, babes. Women have autonomy over their bodies. Oh my God, like, Daniel even talking about abortion in this and saying that if you think that you need an abortion, you need Jesus. You know what you need? A beer, bro. Beer. And take that lady to Greece. Take her to Greece, or I will. I think that this is all very eye-opening to individuals who claim that leading the tradwife life is all good and there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But when you're stripped of your identity, and the one thing that you do is being a mum, I mean, I don't know what to say to you, especially because it seems like when it comes to being with Daniel, she kind of has no choice anyways. And you could obviously say, well, drama queen, if she actually wants to do things with her life, she probably wouldn't be with this man. We don't know these strangers' situations. So that's why I've come into this video with obviously my own biases and my own thoughts and opinions, because that's what drama queen is. That's kind of who I am. But Daniel, take this woman to Greece, be a good billionaire husband, and give this woman a little bit of a break. I saw floods of emails coming in about Ballerina Farm, and I've only looked at her account really like surface level, and I didn't really know too much about Hannah and Daniel and the family to even begin with. I have briefly spoken about Ballerina Farm in one of my tradwife videos from like a couple months ago, but now I can see why everybody is like, this article has a lot of red flags in here, a lot of alarms are being raised. Have you or somebody that you know been through similar? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you for your stay at Yappersville today, everybody, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care of yourselves, and most of all, love your fucking selves.